Maybe you're suffering in life today. Maybe you are angry about that decision and the outcome of a situation today because you followed the wise counsel from a blind person who's trying to lead another blind person. Sometimes you have to face the fact and accept the fact that, for example, you, if you want to be a husband or a housewife to somebody, can't be taking dating advice from a friend who's a and you know that. For example, you can't be taking business ideas and advice about business from somebody who's a scammer. For example, you can't be taking advice from somebody about what value you bring to the table by someone who is characterless and who has no bone of integrity in her body or his body. So many a time, especially as friends, because we belong in cliques and groups, we let go a lot of closeted behavior in the name of friends. And you and I, unfortunately, have been around people and in friendships where we know that this woman, this man is coming off a certain way in public, but we know exactly this person's true character. And if this person thinks that they have fooled us with their fake character, you and I have kept quiet, but we've noticed everything that this friend has done behind our backs and in front of our eyes. But while they try to hide everything on face value, we read them. And sometimes these friends are very open about what they are and who they are, but because you and them have a honest friendship, and maybe you're that one person they're actually honest to about their closeted behavior, and that can be beyond sexual preference, okay? And when you become party to that behavior, you and I as friends, we don't think anything of it because we think we're just being a good friend, a supportive friend. But are we being enablers with them? Because I know I can speak for myself. I was never an enabler. I always told people, especially my friends who I thought actually cared about me, but they're the biggest enemies that I have today, who I didn't even make enemies. I just left their life because they turned out to be my downfall, my Jezebels in my life as friends. And these are the enemies that I have carried from my past lives. They're my reincarnated soul enemies. And irrespective of where they are today in their life, they are going through their karma as they deserve. But coming back to the point, when we become enablers, we are of course inculcating that bad behavior in them, and by being a supportive friend, we're actually doing them injustice because we're the only ones who can be honest with them if they're being honest with us. And multiple situations, scenarios can come out of you doing this or not doing this. If you're an enabler, yes, you will earn their friendship, but do you really want their friendship? Because at the end of the day, these are the same friends who'll enable you to do really downgraded things like they do. Because at the end of the day, they're looking for their equal, even in friendship. So when you already don't roll like that, but you are rolling with friends like that who do such shit, that's on you. And that's a decision that you make. And that's a life learning that you have to learn, because I have learned my lessons from that. I understand now why my parents told me we don't talk to certain type of people. So at the end of the day, when these people are not enabled, like you and I, because we are the friends who will tell them, hey babe, hey bro, this is what I would do in your situation. I don't think this is cool. I don't think this is this. I don't think this is that. And you clock them every time they f around with you or try to be like you. They are clones of me who have claimed my personality to be theirs, my life to be theirs, and called me a fake. But I never indulged because I don't go towards barking dogs, I just put a muzzle on them and I f off. I don't care. Anyways, before I digress, you guys, if you're somebody who tells your friend, hey, you know what, do it this way. Maybe I would do it this way. Maybe you are the problem in the situation. Maybe you're the reason why you're going through what you're going through. That guy doesn't deserve this. That girl doesn't deserve this. That friend doesn't deserve this. That stranger doesn't deserve this. And you don't even know that person. But you're good people. And because you're good people, you try to inculcate that in your friend. And yes, that goes against the very grain of what that friend is made of. And unfortunately, if these people are not grown, if these people are not evolved, and if these people are immature as fuck, just playing to be mature women and men, they take that as an offense because they think, oh, she thinks she's better than me. He thinks he's better than me. Why? Because you don't carry the spirit that they do. You're not on that level of thinking. And you know what? You actually like this friend of yours and you do not see the level of thinking that he or she has, the kind of way she or he lives his or her life. You just see this friend for who she is, for who he is, and you appreciate the friendship you both have built. And yes, I'm talking about a period where you were also evolving. Is now those type of people have no space in your life, because if your energy is not reciprocated and mirrored the high vibe you're in, even if you're going through shit in life, you're not a malicious, evil, bitter hater. But you have friends like that because you were probably struggling with, like me, I openly say, anxiety issues and abandonment issues. So you make bad friends. In situations like that, honestly, it's really hard for me or people like us to take a stance, because these people fully and openly accept everything that we're telling them. And these people always thank us for, like, thanks for the advice. Of course, I'm going to do it this way. But you know what? This and this and this. But you know what? This and this and this. And people like you and I don't impose. So we tell them once, and we at the end of the day tell them this is what we would do. And if you want to do it the other way, do it the other way, whatever it may be. We don't impose. But when we don't impose, and shit turns around and exactly happens how we had cautioned them, somehow we become the issue. Somehow they think that we had a part to play in it because we wanted to show them something, just because we called it, just because we are wise, just because we are actually good people who don't do mess like them. So I can speak for myself, and you can as well, that there are some people who we know innately are our friends because we see them while they are in the closet. And while many of them are open about it, about all their skeletons, because they trust us and we never break it, or we see them exactly for who they are and that they're trying to hide from us and the world, but we just see them. But irrespective of all that, we think that if we give them any advice, if we are in a position of giving it, if they come to us, we give them the righteous advice of what we would actually follow and do, because we walk the walk, we talk the talk. But when you are not, for example, a hoe like them, when you, for example, are not a scammer like them, when you are not a cheater like them, for example, when you are not a liar like them, so when you basically are nothing like what they are and who they are and who they mask to not be or be, you are exactly who you say you are, but you still are friends with them. And that is because you have your own struggles on the inside, but you're not a bad person, but you are friends with a bad human being. She has no integrity to her own mother, to her own father, to her own friends, to her own lover, to her own self. Him flip the sexes. So at the end of the day, when we are friends like that, we also need to know, are we being friends with a flight risk? Is she a hoe in the closet and you are being friends with a hoe, which is going to backfire when you leave her life, because you will and you have elevated, because that's the spirit you carry, because you guys were never on the same path. Flip the sexes as a man. Are you friends with a man that's going to flip on you? And this is not just someone having hoe behavior. This person does not probably have anything related to doing that, but has everything else related to scamming, cheating, lying. If not that, then it's one of the 7 vices. But at the end of the day, these people do their dirt in the open, and you are part of that friend group. And so they think that you are also exactly that. And that's a you problem. That was a me problem. So when we excuse ourselves, when we finally understand that, you know what, I don't live my life like this, I don't relate to anything, but I'm just friends with them on the outside. But when people innately are involved with dirty level shit, you don't know what double life they're living. And even if you know, while you don't have any part to play in it, the world has seen you together. So it's very easy for them to flip the narrative when you finally walk out, because you are not cut from the same cloth. Your parents haven't brought you up the way their parents have. No shade, how they take it is on them. But at the end of the day, even if it's not about brought up, see, it's just the character you carry. It's just the spirit you carry. And even if you have been through some struggles, these are the same type of friends who you'll be vulnerable to, and they will use the same vulnerability against you. That's how evil they are. So these are the same friends you probably must have cried to broken down and shared all your fucking aspects about. And these are the same people who break you down the same way when you went to them. So at the end of the day, really understand that it's not just the people who wrong you, it's also your responsibility on who's your wise counsel. Because many of your relationships haven't worked out probably because you were taking relationship advice from a whore who's a closeted, so who has a boyfriend, who has a husband, who has a wife, who has a girlfriend, but is actually you know that. And if you don't know that, people have come and told you that about her, I am, but you kept quiet. I have friends, women who are closeted, who are bisexuals, who do all kind of orgies, but in face value, perfect job, looks good, perfect man, single, whatever, but acting all goody two shoes. I mean, I actually wasn't doing any of that shit. They flipped it all on me. So I'm okay with whatever people call me today. Is who's calling me that? Those low level. They don't have any value in the society anyways. So I don't care. Actions will speak louder, truth always comes out. But before it gets to a level where you have to really safeguard your name or do some damage control or really try to understand, it's like, why has your life been so hard in certain aspects? Just understand and try to think back. Who did you share some aspects of your life to? Who did you take advice from? And what was the advice that you got? And innately, did you feel right about the advice? Or were you just trying to fit in? Were you just trying to please that friend by taking her advice, by taking his advice, and just actually doing the opposite of what you actually wanted to do? And this happens a lot when your friend wants to give you relationship advice. Or not. At the end of the day, a friend is supposed to be in a friend's place. Your man, your woman is supposed to be in your lover's place. And I'm talking to people who actually date proper individuals, at least with that intention, but you end up finding bugaboos. At least I have, except for my last. So at the end of the day, if you are one of those people who constantly come across really failed relationships, failed everything in life, you're discussing all your problems with a woman or a man who has no direction in her or his life. How does she live? How does he live? Just because they're friends don't mean you need to take their advice. If that makes him or her happy when you listen to them as a friend, that's control. That's a narcissist. So trust and believe that friend right there does not give a fuck about you. But she is after everything that makes you happy, that puts a smile on your face. That guy you call your homie is after your joy, is after your love, is after your security as a man. What makes you feel like a man. She's after your womanhood. And she will make sure everything that you want out of your life, she gets it. Artificially. Because she is trying to get your destiny. Because she's least interested in what's happening in her life. And that's the type of woman you're giving advice to? Flip the sexes as it resonates. But you won't leave that friend alone. Why? Even if you have a strong feeling. You have a strong feeling that that woman, that man is the reason why your life is in shambles. Or the advice that you've received from this person has always costed you in some way, shape or form. But we live in a world where we say, but that's a friend. We're supposed to be there for friends. You're supposed to be there for friends who wish well for you, who are not selfish, who are not creeps, who are not narcissists, who are not arrogant as a man or a woman. Because these are the same friends that you think are friends are actually planning and plotting every move against you. And as soon as you were to leave their life, you become a threat. And watch how they fuck your life up. Because they have to keep up that image that they've created for the world. Because the world sees her as a wholesome woman. The world sees him as a complete man. When in reality, they're doing the dirt. They call you a cheat, but she's cheating with her ex, with the present, and so many other men. Flip the sexes as it resonates. She or he calls you broke, but is actually texting 1,000 other people for money. She or he calls you a bum, but is actually they started their career and they're still there making the same amount of money because they're lazy. And then they blame the world. That friend calls you to be a whore, but is actually not even sure of her sexuality, of his sexuality. That man, that woman falsely accuses you of rolling with the same sex if you are straight. And I am straight, so I can resonate. Happened with me. Is actually a f***ing diet. Is actually gay. So all these narratives that is flipped on you today. Why? Because you actually gave them the advice that you would follow, because you have the morals and the values that they don't carry. And instead of them trying to learn and be better like you and I do when somebody gives us advice, they take it personal, thinking who the she is, thinking who the he is. But actually, we never had any such intentions. We actually told them exactly what we just live our life. So what these people think is like, oh, the she thinks she is, he is. Why is she acting all brand new? He's acting all brand new. Because they don't value those values. They've not lived those values ever. Their parents don't follow those values. So they never were exposed to that value or that culture. But the culture, background, values that we come from, how we were raised, not raised, what we was inculcated with, is what is inculcated in us. So if there's certain things we won't do, even if you're hanging out with certain people and friends with certain people, they need to understand that we won't do certain things. And very well they know that even if you were in a group setup, they know certain things that we never did. And certain things some people did. So you and I both know, even if you're in the same group today with the girls or the guys, there's some things you don't do in the group. And some don't even have any boundaries, even if you're in the same group. Because many a times groups, how do they work? At least I am guilty by association. You're friends with one or two friends, who's your girl, who's your guy, and then they have their friends, and then we meet in parties and every weekend, and somehow it becomes wire, but we don't know what they're attached to. And then when everything goes off, and when life moves on, when people move on, and just people leave each other's lives, there are some bugaboos who think that 10 years, 20 years, people are supposed to be in each other's lives. People don't grow or what? At least for me, why the is my life people's business? At the end of the day, I never made no commitment to no friend that I'll be friends with you. As soon as I saw your bad juju on me, I left. But anyways, coming back. So at the end of the day, I don't give advice to people anymore. Even if I give them advice, I don't get attached to any advice. And I certainly don't take advice from people. Because I've taken advice and I've ruined a lot of my relationships were actually good. So today, please take inventory of where you are today with your relationships, and if something is not working out in your life, in your relationships, if certain aspect of your life is certainly constantly getting messed up, is because of the wrong counsel, the wrong advice that you're taking from your friend, because she's a friend, because he's a friend, just because their friends don't make them morally right. If anything, you need to cut that friend off, because you will be tainted soon if you don't take care of it. And if God is showing you signs, and if you're watching this video, maybe it's a sign for you to really analyze this friend's influence on you, okay, and in your life. And if this is going to have your name in her mouth after you leave her life, when you elevate. If this dude is going to have your name in his mouth after you elevate, because you see the bums that they are. So be very careful, because many a times these people look like top class. They pretend to be top class, and you know what fake is and dudes they are. So yeah, the blind can't lead another blind person. You can't be taking dating advice from people who don't even know how to keep a man or a woman, and who are no one's man or woman. They're for the community. You can't take business advice from somebody who's taking money from Peter to pay Paul. The fuck are you doing with your life? So at the end of the day, friendship is one place, but just understand if this is a friend or is this an incubus, succubus, narcissist in your life in the name of friends who's going to ruin you. Because many a times, many people in the name of my girls, many people in the name of friends have ruined me and are still trying to ruin me, and are telling me today, how dare she speak about the truth and expose us? Well, it's their truth. So like Kendrick Lamar says in one of his songs, don't say no lies about me, I will speak no truths about you.